Hi, I'm Marilyn Gale Vilyus from WestHoustonAttorney.com. And if your husband or your wife has filed for divorce, you might be asking yourself the question, what on earth has happened and what do I do now? So I'd like to give you a little survival guide for the divorce process. You know, a lot of the times a couple will decide together that their marriage relationship isn't going to work. But oftentimes, one of the spouses, either the husband or the wife, decides a long time before the other party even knew anything was wrong. In that case, the party is likely to be really upset. They may ask themselves the question, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you ask me to go to counseling? Why, we've been married for so many years. Why do you want a divorce now? And they also want to know, even if you filed for divorce, is there any chances of us getting back together? Now, of course, the answers are going to be different for everybody because you all have different circumstances. This is a really difficult time. There's a lot of emotions taking place. I just want to give you a few pointers. The first one is this. If you think you want your marriage to work, talk to your spouse about that as quickly as possible. Try to get some help. The next thing is make sure that you try to keep your emotions on an even keel. People ask me, should I tell the kids? Well, yes, of course, you guys need to tell the kids. It's really important to tell them together if you can. It's really important not to blame the other spouse. Please know that it's okay for your kids to know that you're sad. They're going to be sad too, I promise. You know, one day you're going to be sad, the next day you're going to be angry. You want them to be able to show those emotions to you so that they don't act those emotions out in other ways that aren't healthy. Well, remember not to talk about the settlement terms of your divorce in front of your kids. Please don't use your pickup and drop-off times as a chance to kind of spar with the other partner. There are other people you should tell besides your kids. And one of those is your employer. I hate to tell you this, but going through the divorce process can really put you at risk for losing your job. So I'd like to give you some pointers when it comes to that. Remember, please don't start coming in late. Please watch your drinking if you drink. We understand that you're depressed, but we don't want every aspect of your life to fall apart at the same time. That would be awful. Please don't have any screaming phone calls with your husband or your wife. And you know, your lawyer is going to want to talk to you. Don't hesitate to say, you know, can I call you back on my lunch hour? Or maybe may I meet you at your office at 5 o'clock? Because there are a lot of things that you can control and some things you can't control. And one of those is when your court appearances are going to be. The court doesn't have much of a sense of humor. They set a schedule and that's when they want you there and that's when you've got to be there. So if you can control those other things, that gives you a little bit more leeway with your work situation when you really do have to take off from work. Now, you have to share with your family and friends. Obviously, they're going to know something is going on, but this can be tricky, especially if you think you want to reconcile. You know, your family and friends are your biggest support group, so you certainly do need their help. But at the same time, you've got to be very careful about exactly what kind of details you want to share with them. Now, if you want to reconcile your marriage, depending on what exactly the issue is in your particular case, trust issues are bound to arise. Maybe your partner had an affair. That's an obvious trust issue. But maybe it's something else. Maybe your husband or your wife ran up a lot of bills or credit cards. That's a trust issue too. Maybe there was physical abuse or emotional abuse. As you can see, a lot of the times people really don't want a divorce and they both want to work on these issues. But it's a lot easier to make promises sometimes than it is to keep them. So if you need additional time to work on your marriage, don't be afraid to ask the court for a motion for continuance. they're usually really happy to give it to you. They don't want to divorce people any more than we want you to get divorced. Now, you can't do that just because you don't want to go to trial. I should warn you, okay? But if you need some extra time, a motion for continuance is the way to go. Now, maybe for some reason the court won't give you a motion for continuance, or maybe you had one already for a different reason. You can stop your case if you file a motion for non-suit. It would have to be an agreed motion, and what that means is both the husband and the wife would need to sign it. The danger here is that if you have a trial date, for gosh sakes, please don't just not show up at the trial date. I would not trust my husband or my wife not to go and take a default against me. Because you see, if you signed a waiver of service or if you were served with papers, when your trial date comes, the court can actually proceed and divide your property. They can decide the kid issues, child support, visitation, and what have you, health insurance and all like that without you being there. So you certainly don't want that to happen. I'm all in favor of trusting your partner, but you've also got to know when to be smart, okay? So again, keep these things in mind. And if you have other questions, please don't hesitate to see our website at westhoustonattorney.com and call us 281-550-6650. We'll be happy to answer your questions. And best of luck to you. Thank you.